Please welcome the funny, the gregarious, the tenacious, the creative, the passionate Michael Green.
Hi. First of all, I got to tell you a couple things about what's already happened up here. First one is, well, I don't know how to do this. First one is, sorry. First one is that, Mr. Kennedy, I just want you to know that when you said that CEH lobbied on behalf of AB 361 and helped get B Corps recognized by the government, that's a bald-faced lie. We actually educated legislators because unlike some people, I don't want to go to jail in 6 countries. And we're a nonprofit organization. That's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is Donald Simon, who is obviously good at this, is also one of the leading environmental lawyers in the Bay Area, and he's in high demand. And so, for other skills besides auctioneering. And what happened while I was sitting here was that my friend Darian said, "Donald's awesome." And he said it near Danny, and Danny said, "We retain him as counsel." So I just want to let you know that there was a lot of other things going on at the same time. I want to thank you, Christine, for your leadership. And I just want to say that I get to work with 20 people like her. These incredibly idealistic people who are, and they're not soft-headed, they're tough as nails, and they're really changing the world, but, you know, kind and compassionate. And it's such a honor to get to work with this team of like sort of all for one for all kind of environment. And so Christine's the one you're meeting on the stage tonight, but there's 19 or more like her on staff. And then I have 10 bosses. Is there anybody else here who has 10 bosses? So, and one of them, you met Kathy Gerwig, and so these are all people who are playing at a really high level, and they're volunteering their time, and they're leaders in their field, whether it's as the sustainability officer for Kaiser, or as a successful actor in Hollywood, or 8 other, you know, bossy bosses. And so it's just ridiculous that this is my job, and I get to like work with these people, these incredible talents. So I want to thank all of them, both the board and the staff. I also want to thank, just for tonight, I want to thank our co-chairs, Donald Simon and also Kirsten Beckwith. And then I want to give a special shout out to 2 staff members who've basically been working 24/7 for as long as I can remember on this event, and that's Jody Parsons and Laura Hoover. You probably can't see it unless you're in the front row, but this is, first of all, this is my daughter, Juliet's favorite sippy cup. She likes it because it's close to pink. It's the closest thing to pink that she has is a sippy cup. And so that's her favorite. Now, it's plastic, and because it's plastic, it by definition has chemicals that were invented after I was born. It probably has chemicals invented after she was born. And very few of the chemicals that we're all exposed to every day have been tested for their health impacts, or almost none of them have been adequately tested for their health impacts. None of them have been tested for the way they interact with the other chemicals, the other 79,999 chemicals we're being exposed to. So this is my favorite sippy cup for Juliet Green. It's stainless steel. No exotic chemicals, no man-made chemicals, nothing really required except for iron and some other metals. Here's what happens, is that when she wants milk, we have an arm wrestling match. And I want her to use this one, and she wants me to give her this one. And so she wins sometimes, and I win sometimes. But when she wins, and this happens every time she wins, every time I worry about what are the health impacts of the chemicals leaching out from that sippy cup into her milk. Every time. It's never happened that I have given her something to drink in a plastic cup and I haven't thought about that. So I don't even know what's in. I don't even know what chemicals are in this thing. Now I know one chemical that's not in it because it says it here, and that's the thing that you can only see if you're in the front row. It says BPA free. So that means it doesn't have, if you believe them, which I do, it doesn't have bisphenol A. So BPA is a chemical that is often used in plastics and gives it special properties that manufacturers like, but what it also does is it mimics estrogen. So your body gets confused by BPA and it thinks, oh, there's estrogen there. And then when your body is confused and thinks there's estrogen there, it literally changes the chemistry of your body, because then the hormone structure gets messed up because it responds to the estrogen, but there's actually no estrogen there. So this can have profound effects later in life, like cancer or diabetes or infertility. So early this month, Jerry Brown signed into law a bill banning the use of BPA in sippy cups. That's great. CEH was active in getting that law passed, but the lead nonprofit actually wasn't us. The lead nonprofit was the Breast Cancer Fund, and that's something really interesting to me. That's kind of deep, because if you think about it, that's a nonprofit whose job it is to protect women from breast cancer, and they feel like they need to start at the age of 2, because we're being exposed to such a stew that that just tells you how complicated the problems are that we're addressing here. They're trying to protect Juliette Green from getting breast cancer 30, 40 years from now by banning this chemical in the sippy cup. And so that's a travesty that we're thinking like that. And the purpose of CEH is to help not think about that, is to make things different around that. So today, I literally mean today, like October 24th, 2011, a study came out in the journal called Pediatrics saying 3-year-old girls exhibit more aggressive and depressed behavior if they were exposed to bisphenol A in the womb. And Juliette, my daughter, turns 3 on Thursday. So this is very personal for me. So what we want to do is we want to protect them from estrogen mimicking chemicals. That's what this is called. That's the jargon in my field for that. But the problem is that the chemical that they're going to replace it with, the chemical that this one says BPA free, also may be an estrogen mimicking chemical. Because what's happening is that we're living in a situation where a company doesn't want to know the toxicity of its products. It has a disincentive to know. So it's going to keep using the BPA until Jerry Brown signs a bill and until there's an article in the Journal of Pediatrics, and then they're going to take it out and they're going to replace it with something else that's untested. Because if it's untested, they're good. Because if it's untested, then there's no liability, there's no risk, they've got plausible deniability, literally. So what companies want to do is they want to not knowingly expose us to toxic chemicals, because it's bad for their brand and it creates bad liability. But the key word is knowingly. And so remember how I said that most of these chemicals are untested? Because the companies don't want to know, that just results in them putting in something else that they intentionally don't know about. So it's a shell game. It's literally a shell game. And it's intentional. It's intentional. We don't want to know because then we don't have the responsibility. And so our job is to actually address this. So it's an unplanned science experiment that we're doing on our families all the time. So I want to give a different example from these sippy cups, and that is methyl bromide, because Harry very creatively got somebody to laugh about methyl bromide. I didn't think that was actually possible to get people to laugh about methyl bromide. You got them to laugh twice about methyl bromide. That was really good. And so methyl bromide is was what they used to put on strawberries until very recently to get rid of the fungus that might grow on the strawberries. So now it's banned internationally, so now they're putting a drop-in replacement of methyl iodide. So when methyl iodide becomes, the consensus is that it's toxic enough that we can't put on our strawberries, then they'll come with a third thing. And so there's this whole game here happening about what's been tested and what's not tested, and the incentives are designed to use the things that are not tested. So why do they play this? Well, they play this shell game, obviously because it's more profitable, but they play it specifically because they don't have an incentive to know the difference. If they have an actual disincentive to know about what the toxicity of the products that they're making for the workers who make them, or for the people who dispose of them, or for the consumers. So our job at CEH is to create different incentives. That's what we do for a living, is we're trying to create different incentives to make more good instead of less bad, right? Because incentives work by creating a race to the top as compared to a race to the bottom. So how do we do that? We do that in 5 ways. We collaborate with the kind of rock star green business leaders that you saw up here earlier. We kick the butts of the companies that are actually just trying to focus on their next quarterly profit statement. We craft excellent policy that creates incentives for companies to want to have a race to the top. We organize, so our moms program has moms in every state. And we do great science, because if not, then it's going to be difficult for us to win the day. So we use these 5 tools, and we've gotten huge accomplishments using these 5 tools. So shortly after we were founded, we started talking at staff level about there's lead in all these children's products. So there's lead, no longer lead in paint, there's no longer lead in gas, there's still lead in children's products. And we frankly thought that was whacked. And so we decided we were going to systematically test every children's product sold in the U.S. for lead. And we were going to force whoever's selling children's products with lead to take it out. And that was a crazy idea. So at that time, there were 3 people on staff. We didn't have any funding. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any, no one knew about us. And we said, we're going to test every children's product that's sold in the U.S. and get them all to go lead-free. It was ridiculous, basically. And so we accomplished it. And it took a long time. And here's what happened. Thank you. First, we found lead in baby powder. So if there's a product that shouldn't have lead, it's a product designed to be put on a baby where the skin is broken. And so we basically tested all of them. We found the ones that were, very high levels. We sued them. They all agreed to what is now in that sector called the CEH standard, and they all basically went lead-free. Then we replicated it for baby bibs, and for children's jewelry, and for toys, and for candy imported from Mexico, and for all kinds of, that's 5 of the maybe 15 sectors that we did it for. And so now, we've got this grant to test children's products, and it used to be you go to Toys R Us and you, wherever you threw a rock, that thing had lead in it. Now, we've tested 1,400 products in the last 12 months, and it's actually hard for us to find children's products with lead because of the change. I told you I got a good job. So if you had told me 15 years ago that we would have eliminated lead from all children's products, I would have said that's ridiculous. If you had told me that we would have drafted legislation and passed it at the local, state, and national level on dioxin, on lead, on mercury, on cadmium, I would have said, what are you talking about? If you had said that we'd be working with multi-billion dollar companies where they'd be coming to us saying, can you help us figure out how we can use our purchasing power to reduce the toxicity in the market, I would have said, come on. But we've done all of that, and we're just getting started. So I want to propose some equally ridiculous goals for the next 15 years. So here's one. You just heard a bunch of folks who are experts about the energy sector talk, and so I've got a computer in my pocket, and I'll bet half the people in the room at least do as well. So when I started CEH 15 years ago, I didn't know anybody had a cell phone. Come on. Cell phone, that's, like you get to walk around and it's not connected to a wire. And so think about the energy sector and the profound changes that are on the way in the energy sector. In the next 15 years, it's going to look completely differently. Now, I have no idea how it's going to look differently. I don't know if it's going to be that fracking is the headline of the day, or algae, making fuels from algae, or what. But it's going to be profoundly different. And it's not going to only be profoundly different from advocacy, it's also going to be profoundly different because of the leadership of the kind of folks who were up here earlier, and for the kind of work that CEH is going to do to be propping up the leaders and to be kind of kicking in the knees the companies that aren't. And so in the next 15 years, CEH will frame the conversation around our energy changes when they happen in a way that it is impossible to not be talking about public health. That's just what's going to happen in the next 15 years, I guarantee it. Here's a second example. So I mentioned that we have moms in every state. Our moms program has moms in every state, and it's run by Mary Bruin, that program. And we are going to, in 15 years, have a situation where just like you can't even talk about gun legislation without going through the NRA, you're not going to be able to be talking about chemicals that might or might not be getting kids and pregnant women sick without going through the CEH Moms Project. It's just not going to be possible. It's going to be the opinion leader around that issue. And here's the one I want to go back to. I want to go back to, in the next 15 years, the shell game. So we're going to end the shell game in the next 15 years, which is a ridiculous proposal because it means we're going to have to change the way our entire economy is structured, from one where if you don't know, you don't have a problem, to if you don't know, you can't bring it to market. This is a profound shift. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it the same way we've been accomplishing what we've been accomplishing in the last 15 years. We're going to collaborate with the industry leaders. We're going to kick the butts of the industry laggards. We're going to craft excellent policy. We're going to organize. And we're going to do great science. And so when we do all those things, we're going to be able to accomplish this, and we're going to start it tonight. So here's how we're going to do it. Here's a couple of commitments I want to make. In the next 15 years, we're going to end the shell game, and what I mean by that is that every company will have and share publicly, doing business in the U.S., they will have and share information about the health impacts of what they're doing on us and our children. But I have a good friend, Darian, who talks about, okay, but you got to talk about the B to the Y. When he first said that, I was like, what are you talking about? B to what? B to the what? And so he basically said, anybody can say, okay, we're at A and we're going to get to Z, but you're the kind of guy who knows B through C, D, E, F to Y. And so I was flattered once I understood what the hell he was talking about. And so in the next 15 months, so that's what we're going to do in the next 15 years. We're going to end the shell game. In the next 15 months, we're going to end the shell game for estrogen-mimicking chemicals in sippy cups and baby bottles. In the next 15 weeks, we're going to systematically test dozens of sippy cups and baby bottles for basically estrogen effects. So it's a complicated test. It's not like something we can do in our lab in the office where we can test for lead in any product or some metal or something. This means we're not testing for a chemical. We're testing for, does it basically, grow cells? And so in the next 15 weeks, we're going to test and find out which of the sippy cups and baby bottles are causing small children today to have long-term health impacts like diabetes and cancer and infertility and early onset puberty and things like that. The next 15 days, we're going to find out whether Juliet Green's sippy cup, this one, not this one, has estrogen-mimicking chemicals in it as a model. And here's the really fun part. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to ask you to help us do it. And to do that, Donald's going to come back up. But before Donald's going to come back up, Christine's going to come up. Thank you very much.